Imagine filling a bathtub only once, yet the water stays warm enough for the next person to use it. A ceiling-mounted fan does more than remove steam. It also dries the bathroom and even helps dry clothes after you leave. And when a storm arrives, every exterior shutter can close without anyone stepping outside. These are not futuristic ideas reserved for homes of tomorrow. They are practical design choices that already appear in many Japanese homes. What makes them remarkable is not just the technology. It is the number of small tasks the house eliminates before they ever become your responsibility. We are going to look at 25 things Japanese homes often do much better than many Western homes, from bathrooms, kitchens, and windows, to the way they use space, manage energy, and protect the people living inside. And the final idea may completely change the way you think about prefabricated houses. If you enjoy systems that make a home easier to maintain instead of simply making it look better, subscribe to The Quiet Home. The first thing is creating a real boundary at the entrance. In many homes, the entryway is simply a section of flooring between the front door and the living room. People take their shoes off there, but there is no clear stopping point. One pair stays beside the door, another gets pushed farther inside, and then handbags, umbrellas, and newly purchased items begin spreading into the rest of the house. A Japanese genkan creates a clear transition zone between the outside and the inside. The floor is usually lower than the main living area, and a shoe cabinet is positioned directly beside the entrance. Items from outside have a place to stop before moving deeper into the home. The greatest value is not the cabinet, it is the boundary. You can create a simple version with a shoe tray, a hook for bags, and a fixed place for anything that has just entered the house. The goal is not to create more storage. The goal is to stop clutter from spreading at the front door. The second thing is separating the toilet from the bathing area. In many Western homes, the toilet, shower, and bathtub are all placed in one room. That may seem space efficient until one person is taking a shower while someone else needs to use the toilet. A 20-minute activity can make the entire room unavailable, even though the two people do not need to use the same fixture. Many Japanese homes place the toilet in a separate small room, while the bathing area is located on the other side. Two people can use the two functions at the same time, without interfering with each other. This is a design that reduces conflict, instead of expecting people to coordinate more carefully. Not every existing home can change its layout this way. However, during a renovation, creating a separate toilet room may provide more value than adding a larger countertop or an expensive appliance. The third thing is treating the entire bathroom as one unified waterproof area. Many bathrooms are finished directly at the construction site. Each tile is installed individually, grout is applied between the tiles, and sealant is placed around the edges of the bathtub. When everything is new, it may look perfect. Over time, however, grout changes color, sealant shrinks, and water begins finding its way into gaps that are difficult to see. Many Japanese bathrooms use a prefabricated modular bathroom system. The waterproof floor, walls, and ceiling are designed to fit together as one complete structure. Instead of depending on dozens of individual joints, the entire wet area is built as one integrated unit. You can still apply the same principle in an existing bathroom by reducing the places where water can collect. Remove bottles stored on the floor, materials that dry slowly, and gaps that need to be resealed regularly. The fewer places water can remain, the fewer surfaces you have to wipe, and the fewer hidden problems you may face later. The fourth thing is designing the bathtub to retain heat, not simply to hold water. A wide, shallow bathtub has a large surface area, which allows heat to escape more quickly. You have barely started relaxing when the water begins to cool, and the usual solution is to add more hot water. Japanese-style bathtubs are often deeper and narrower, allowing the body to remain submerged while exposing a smaller area of water to the air. Many modern models also use insulated walls and fitted covers to slow down heat loss. The lesson is not that everyone needs a Japanese bathtub. The lesson is that heat retention should matter just as much as size and appearance. For an existing bathtub, a properly fitted cover can also keep the water warm longer without requiring another round of heating. The fifth thing is giving the bathroom a drying process that continues after you leave. A standard exhaust fan only removes part of the steam while someone is bathing. After the fan turns off, towels, floors, and other surfaces may remain damp. Multifunction bathroom ventilation systems in Japan can combine moisture removal, room heating, air circulation, and clothing drying. One ceiling-mounted unit does not simply remove steam. It helps return the entire room to a drier condition afterward. This is especially useful on rainy days or in homes without a dedicated laundry room. Clothing has a designated drying area instead of taking over chairs, door handles, and the living room. A simpler version might include a fan with a timer, a drying rail positioned inside the ventilated area, or a dehumidifier used after bathing. When a bathroom has no drying process, the moisture eventually returns as musty towels, moldy corners, and additional cleaning. The sixth thing is bringing filtered water directly to the place where it is used. A countertop water filter solves one problem, but creates several smaller tasks. It takes up space, needs to be refilled, and must be moved every time someone cleans the kitchen counter. In many Japanese integrated kitchen systems, a filtered water faucet is built directly into the sink or combined with the main faucet. The filter cartridge is installed underneath, so drinking water is always available without placing another object on the countertop. The filter still needs to be replaced according to the manufacturer's instructions. But the daily routine no longer depends on someone remembering to refill a pitcher. For any item you use frequently, place it directly within the natural path of the task. The right storage location does more than make a home look organized. It removes an entire step. The seventh thing is designing the range hood with cleaning in mind. With a traditional mesh filter range hood, grease collects inside hundreds of tiny openings. To clean it, you have to remove the filter, soak it, scrub it, dry it, and reinstall it. Because the job is unpleasant, people often delay it until cooking smells remain in the kitchen much longer than they should. Some range hoods used in Japanese integrated kitchen systems separate and collect grease inside a smaller component that is easier to remove and wash than a large mesh filter. Not every model is completely maintenance-free. The important point is that cleaning is considered during the design process instead of becoming the owner's problem after the purchase. When evaluating an appliance, do not only consider how well it works when it is new, consider whether keeping it clean after 6 months will be simple enough that you will actually do it. The eighth thing is designing the kitchen as one unified process. Many kitchens are assembled from separate parts. Cabinets come from one supplier, countertops are cut on site, appliances are installed later, and every remaining gap is handled when construction is almost complete. Each part may be good on its own, but the parts were not necessarily designed to work together. Japanese integrated kitchen systems are usually developed as complete packages. Cabinet dimensions, drawers, sinks, cooktops, and range hoods are planned within the same system. This changes the question from where should we place each item to how should the entire process of preparing, cooking, washing, and storing move through the room? Observe one meal from the moment you take out the cutting board until you put away the final pot. Any step that forces you to turn back, cross the room, or temporarily set something down is a point of friction worth fixing. A kitchen that is easy to maintain does not necessarily have more drawers. It has fewer unfinished stopping points. Before we continue, which part of your home creates the most inconvenience? The entryway, the bathroom, or the kitchen? Leave exactly one word in the comments: entryway, bathroom, or kitchen. The ninth thing is being able to check who is outside without opening the door. When someone rings the doorbell, many homes still require you to walk all the way to the entrance before deciding whether you want to open the door. If you are cooking, working, or taking care of a young child, a single doorbell can interrupt everything you are doing. Video intercom systems were common in many Japanese homes and apartments long before smart doorbells became familiar products in the United States. An outdoor camera and speaker connect to a screen inside the home. You can see the visitor, speak to them, and decide whether to open the door without walking to the entrance. The real value is not the screen. It is the fact that the information comes to wherever you are standing. When choosing a smart doorbell for an existing home, prioritize a system that remains easy to use when your phone is not nearby or the internet connection is unstable. The 10th thing is designing insect screens together with the windows. Rigid frame screens are often added after a window has already been installed. They can rattle, bend, become difficult to remove for cleaning, and leave small gaps around the edges. Many Japanese window and sliding door systems include integrated screens. The screen can slide sideways or retract into the frame when it is not being used. When the window or door is open, you pull the screen across only the area that needs protection. When everything is closed, the screen returns to a cleaner position instead of permanently covering the glass. A properly measured retractable or magnetic screen can bring the same principle into an existing home. Choose one that is easy enough to operate that everyone will actually close it every day. A system is only useful when doing the correct thing is not the most difficult option. The 11th thing is adding a second interior window instead of always removing the existing one. A second window unit can be installed inside the current frame. The pocket of air between the two layers creates a buffer that reduces heat transfer and can also reduce some outside noise. The exact performance depends on the glass, the frame, and the quality of the installation. However, the principle is simple. A room should not depend on one thin layer of material to block heat and sound. In a bedroom, beside a busy road, an additional window layer can improve both temperature and quietness, not just reduce the energy bill. When replacing the windows is not currently possible, inspect the gaps around the frames and check whether the weather seals have worn out. Sometimes a room is difficult to cool, not because the air conditioner is too weak, but because the window has never truly closed tightly. The 12th thing is protecting glass from the outside. In areas exposed to typhoons or powerful winds, many detached Japanese homes use exterior shutters. Modern versions can be controlled from inside, allowing residents to place a protective layer in front of the glass without stepping outside during dangerous weather. Shutters can protect windows from flying debris, block light during sleep, increase privacy, and provide an additional layer of security when the homeowner is away. A feature that performs several jobs does not have to be complicated. Sometimes it is simply positioned in the right place to solve multiple problems with the same source. In areas where storm shutters are unnecessary, exterior awnings or outdoor shades can still apply the same principle. Block heat and weather before they pass through the glass. The 13th thing is allowing natural light inside without giving up privacy. Heavy curtains provide privacy by blocking light. Sheer curtains allow light through, but sometimes provide very little privacy. Traditional shoji screens use a grid frame covered with a translucent material. This diffuses light throughout the room instead of allowing it to enter as one harsh, bright patch. Shoji screens do not create complete privacy in every situation, but during the day, they can soften natural light and reduce direct visibility without making the room dark. You can borrow this principle by using frosted film on sections of glass that require privacy, light diffusing curtains, or sliding doors made with translucent materials. The room receives softer light without requiring you to close heavy curtains or turn on the lights early. The 14th thing is heating or cooling. Only the areas that are actually being used. Central heating and cooling systems often treat the entire house as one space. When one person is working in a small room, several empty areas may still be cooled or heated at the same time. Ductless mini-split systems are common in Japanese homes and allow individual rooms or zones to be controlled separately. A bedroom can be cooler at night. The living room system can be turned off when the room is empty, and a guest room does not need to receive the same amount of energy as the rest of the house. The cost depends on the climate, insulation, and installation. But the core benefit is clear. The system serves only the areas that are being used. Even without replacing the equipment, you can apply the same zoning mindset by closing the doors to unused rooms, adjusting curtains according to the direction of the sunlight, and using fans to support airflow. A bedroom at midnight and a kitchen during meal preparation do not have the same needs. The 15th thing is using architecture to block heat before turning on mechanical equipment. In traditional Japanese architecture, deep roof overhangs are not merely decorative. Their depth can be calculated according to the direction of the house and the angle of the sun. During summer, when the sun is high in the sky, the overhang shades the glass below. During colder seasons, when the sun sits lower, sunlight can reach farther into the room. There is no motor, sensor, or application controlling the process. The geometry of the house performs the work every day. The effectiveness depends on the direction of the windows, the climate, and the depth of the overhang. However, the principle remains powerful. Create shade before using energy to remove heat from the room. In an existing home, an awning, an exterior shade, or a tree placed in the correct location can perform part of the same job. The 16th thing is allowing the gas system to move automatically into a safe condition. During an earthquake, gas lines may be damaged while the people inside are trying to keep their balance, find their children, or move to a safer location. Depending on someone to remember, to close a valve manually during that moment places an important responsibility on people at the exact time when they are least capable of handling it. Some major gas providers in Japan use gas meters that automatically stop the flow when they detect strong shaking, an unusual gas flow, or an appliance that has been operating for an abnormally long time. The lesson is the fail-safe mindset. When dangerous conditions appear, the system moves into a safer state without waiting for a person to make a perfect decision. Smoke detectors, gas detectors, and automatic water shut-off valves follow the same principle. They do not replace proper maintenance, but they can limit the damage when an incident occurs at night or while nobody is paying attention. The 17th thing is not simply making the house stronger, but controlling the way it moves. Not every Japanese building uses the same technology. However, the construction industry distinguishes between several different approaches to earthquake protection. Earthquake-resistant structures are reinforced to withstand force. Vibration control systems use components that absorb part of the energy. Base isolation systems create a degree of separation between the building and the movement of the ground. In some systems, the goal is not to prevent the house from moving completely. The goal is to allow it to move in a controlled way so that less force reaches the walls, floors, and objects inside. The lesson extends beyond earthquakes. Durability does not always come from resisting every movement. Sometimes it comes from absorbing pressure without transferring all of that pressure to everything else. In an existing home, you can still secure tall cabinets to the wall, avoid placing heavy objects above the bed, and keep evacuation paths clear. Of the 17 systems we have discussed so far, which one would you most like to have in your home? Leave exactly one number from 1 through 17 in the comments. The 18th thing is using the full height of the wall. In many rooms, closets, bookshelves, and kitchen cabinets stop at a convenient reaching height. Above them is an empty area large enough to collect dust, hold boxes that have no permanent home, and make the room feel unfinished. When people need more storage, they often buy another cabinet and sacrifice more floor space, even though the existing wall has not been used completely. In Japanese homes with limited space, storage systems are often designed to extend from the floor almost to the ceiling. Lower sections hold everyday items, while higher sections hold seasonal belongings and items that are rarely needed. Look upward before buying another piece of furniture that takes up floor space. High shelves or matching storage boxes can reclaim the area above, but every box still needs a clear label and purpose. When you have to open 6 boxes to find one item, you have only moved the clutter to a higher location. The 19th thing is using the volume of the room, not only the floor area. A room does not only have width and length, it also has height, but the airspace above the room often remains unused. Some Japanese apartments and small houses use mezzanines or lofts to turn vertical space into sleeping areas, workspaces, or storage. The floor area below does not change, but the home gains another functional level. A loft must be designed correctly for structural loads, heat, guardrails, and access. On a smaller scale, however, beds with built-in drawers, shelves above doors, and tall cabinets apply the same principle. Before deciding that a room is too small, check whether you are using the entire volume you are paying for. The 20th thing is designing the balcony to support the laundry process. In many households, freshly washed clothes have no designated place to go next. When it rains, they are hung on doors, chair backs, curtain rods, or temporary racks in the living room. Every shirt becomes an obstacle, and the entire room has to change its function until the clothing is dry. In many Japanese apartments and detached homes, balconies are arranged to support air-drying clothes. Hanging brackets or mounting points for laundry poles are built into the space, and the balcony is positioned to receive sunlight and airflow. The difference is that the laundry process does not stop when the washing machine finishes. The home has already prepared for the next step. When drying clothes on a balcony is not possible, create one fixed location indoors. This might be a foldable hanging rail, a rack positioned near moving air, or a section of the bathroom supported by a ventilation fan. When the drying location has already been decided, wet clothing does not need to occupy every available surface it can find. The 21st thing is creating a transition zone between indoors and outdoors. In traditional Japanese architecture, an ingawa is a strip of flooring that runs along the edge of the house between the interior rooms and the garden. You can sit close to the plants, feel the air, and watch the rain while remaining protected by the roof above. An ingawa creates a gradual transition. Instead of one door dividing the world into indoors and outdoors, it creates a buffer zone where the two can meet. Not every modern Japanese home has a traditional ingawa. However, the principle still appears in covered porches, wooden decks beside gardens, and large sliding doors connecting living rooms to outdoor areas. A small covered entrance, an easy-to-clean outdoor mat, or a designated place for gardening equipment can also create a transition zone. When the boundary is clear, dirt and water have fewer opportunities to travel deeper into the home. The 22nd thing is bringing light and nature into the center of the house. In dense urban neighborhoods, a window may look directly at the wall of the house next door. Opening the curtains may bring in very little light, while privacy concerns keep the window covered for most of the day. Some Japanese homes solve this problem with a small interior courtyard. Even a courtyard measuring only about 20 to 30 square feet, which is roughly 2 to 3 square meters, can bring sunlight, fresh air, and greenery into rooms that do not have useful exterior exposure. The courtyard is not leftover land that remained after the house was built. It is positioned intentionally so that several rooms can benefit from it. In an apartment, you can still borrow this principle by keeping the brightest window clear of tall furniture and grouping plants together in one intentional area. One green corner that is easy to maintain is better than many scattered plants that make cleaning the floor more difficult. The 23rd thing is allowing one step to support the next step automatically. On some Japanese toilets, a small hand-washing sink is built into the top of the water tank. After using the toilet, clean water flows through the faucet for hand washing. It then collects inside the tank and is used during the next flush. The same stream of water performs two functions in the correct order without requiring the user to remember an additional step. This solution is not appropriate for every toilet room, but it demonstrates an important design question. Can the output of one step become the input of the next step? Look for routines where the next step is located too far from the previous one. The laundry basket may be far from the place where people change clothes. Cleaning supplies may be stored on another floor, or the recycling bin may sit outside the normal path through the house. When the next step is already prepared, the home requires fewer reminders and less willpower to maintain. The 24th thing is reducing energy demand before trying to generate more energy. Japan is encouraging homes to move toward performance standards similar to net zero energy houses. This does not mean that every new Japanese home already produces all the energy it consumes. It is a direction that combines better insulation, more efficient equipment, solar power, and, in some cases, battery storage. The important part is the order. A home does not become efficient simply because it has more solar panels on the roof. It must first reduce the energy escaping through the walls, roof, windows, and equipment that operates unnecessarily. In an existing home, address the waste first. Seal gaps around doors. Stop heating or cooling empty rooms. Replace inefficient appliances when practical, and avoid running a dryer for loads that are too small. Efficiency does not begin with generating more energy. It begins with no longer paying for energy that provides no value. The 25th and final thing is the way the house itself is built. In many places, the phrase prefabricated house still creates an image of something temporary, inexpensive, and lower in quality than a conventionally built home. However, part of the Japanese housing industry uses factories not simply to build faster, but to control the construction process more precisely. Inside a factory, materials are protected from the weather, dimensions can be repeated accurately, and connection points can be inspected before the components are transported to the construction site. The final quality still depends on the manufacturer, the design, the materials, and the installation team. However, building faster does not automatically mean building carelessly. When a task moves from a difficult-to-control environment into a measurable and repeatable process, the quality has a better chance of becoming consistent. The thread connecting all 25 ideas is not technology or Japanese style. It is the practice of turning every limitation into a clear system. Limited space leads to vertical storage. Moisture leads to a drying process. Earthquakes lead to automatic protection mechanisms. Activities that easily interfere with each other lead to separated functions and clearly defined transition zones. You do not need to apply all 25 ideas. Tonight or sometime this week, begin with 3 small steps. Step 1 is to find one place where 2 activities are interfering with each other. People may have to wait to use the bathroom, wet clothing may be taking over the living room, or belongings from the entrance may constantly spread onto the dining table. Choose only one problem. Step 2 is to select one principle that can be applied without a major renovation. Create a boundary, prepare a place for the next step, use vertical space, or move a tool closer to the place where it is used. Step 3 is to change the questions you ask during your next purchase or renovation. Do not only ask what the new feature can do. Ask what task it will eliminate, how it must be maintained, and whether you will realistically continue maintaining it after 6 months. A home that supports you does not need to impress your guests. It only needs to create less waiting in the morning, fewer unfinished tasks in the evening, and cleaning routines that do not turn into entire projects. Subscribe to The Quiet Home to continue exploring systems inspired by Japanese homes that make living spaces easier to maintain. Then watch the next video on the screen to discover systems that make cleaning feel less endless.